Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cagezilla Studios. I got my buddy Charles Cagezilla. We're here for the post-fight show, and holy smokes, matchmaker extraordinaire Ryan McDonald gave us a treat tonight. And let us start with that last title fight.
Wow.
Between Wilkinson and Pinheiro. This fight had everything, and it wasn't even long enough to catch your breath.
I know. Look, I cannot say enough good things. I mean, so many of the gyms in this area, I should clarify, are
Great
so
gyms
good.
in this area.
So the talent is always unbelievable that we get to see here, especially for folks making their debut.
Yeah. But Kaizen is above all those great gyms. They just stand out.
There's something about their ability to go and take folks who you would not on paper expect to compete as well as they do. And for no other reason than experience, right? Look, Liam's got one fight, and he came out here and he looked like he's had 15. It's such a testament to the coaching and the training partners. I mentioned him before, Yunus Abi-Soror. He's an up-and-coming DMV guy who's going pro. Najim Wali, Nima Mazhari, all of these guys.
Ahmed Kayeti. I mean, the list goes on.
The list goes on, and these are the well-known guys. There's other guys there too who are working in the trenches, helping one another improve. I think I saw Matt Booker in the corner tonight. I mean, these guys are all working together and chasing their dreams, and you could really see that there's no intimidation. And I say intimidation because Marcellus is one of the smoothest strikers I've seen.
And so calm. It looks like he's waiting for a bus until he punches you in the face.
Exactly. And I thought that Liam's strategy of attacking that leg and try to keep him off balance and not letting him set his feet and when you saw Marcellus throw those strikes when his feet were set, you really saw the speed, the accuracy, the quickness, right? So he had his moments. It was just Liam made these adjustments that really were just tremendous. I mean, it's so rare that you get to see folks who are coming up in the game like this. And all night we had fights where we're seeing micro adjustments in a 3 or even a 5-minute round that is rare to see at this level. Usually those types of adjustments come from years of being in the cage, years of being around, right, and competing. And we're seeing it as guys who are just starting their career.
Just starting out, yeah. We talked about Yunus in the pre-show. I saw his first or second fight, and I couldn't believe how polished he looked. Absolutely. And by the way, let's thank all of the fighters who competed here tonight because they all worked that hard. They all gave it their all, and hopefully we'll see every single one of them back here. Speaking of which, let's go back. Andre Deathcore Wallace put on a show. Yeah. No holes in his game, coupled with amazing athleticism. But let's give James Esther a couple of props too. One of those crushing leg kicks out of Deathcore really did a number on James's knee. I saw the paramedics working on him. I'm sure he's getting checked out by the doctors. So we were worried. We were more worried about the potential concussion, potential head injury. It was his knee. That's why he was wobbly. So it's not great news, but it's better news than we thought. That was a great fight. Holy smokes! Can we talk about Angelo Levon and Ben Cash?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 4 fights here that I wrote down fight of the night for.
Yeah, that was such a good one. And these guys were both debut fighters. Obviously, Ben had a wrestling background. Angelo had a kickboxing background, right? So you were expecting it would be very much a grappler versus striker, but I thought Angelo had tremendous takedown defense, and I thought Ben's striking defense was really good. Great leg kicks. He was moving out of the way. He was really doing such a good job of not absorbing significant damage from strikes that Angelo, he hits hard, he's smooth, he throws good combinations, and I thought Ben did such a good job on the feet too, not even changing levels, avoiding that damage.
And let's talk about Levon did such a great job defending on the ground and getting back up.
Very, very impressive. And you saw that when Ben was finally able to get those hooks in, he had that success in that second round. But ultimately, Levon just did such a good job of not really letting him get settled. He never really let his back get flat against the mat. He never really let the hooks get in. So he was always scrambling, always moving. And, just such a good debut from both guys. I thought the fight could have gone either way. Obviously, it was a split decision. But I was really impressed with both guys. And, honestly, when you see folks like this who compete and who come from somewhat opposite backgrounds, these guys could train together and really improve one another's games. They don't have to fight again. They did it, right? This is something where they'll look back and be like, oh, man, I can't believe I made my debut against this guy.
Great.
They'll both be saying that as they go well into their careers. So,
and you and I talked about that. Styles make fights look like straight-up kickboxer versus wrestler, and it was so great. And we see this in the evolution of the sport. So great to see both guys have this deep skill set in the discipline that we're not talking about. And that's just how these warriors train now. And it is highly entertaining. Walker McCollum. Now, Walker's 28. He's a warrior. He's not going anywhere. But Miles McCollum is a prodigy.
Yeah, there's something about his ability to strike while backing up that really, most long guys aren't that good at that, right? They're really good at keeping somebody at range, keeping them at the end of the punches, and moving forward. I almost think about a guy like Luke Rockhold, who's very long and really good at hitting you at the end of his punches, but backing up, not as successful, right? What we saw from Miles was forward, backward, side to side. It didn't matter what was going on. He was landing hard shots, but most impressively to me was his ability to punch while backing up and also throwing his shots and pivoting out of the way. So he was never really up against the cage. One issue that Walker had was he couldn't get Miles up against the cage where he could start laying into him. Really sitting on his punches, planting his feet, and ripping into the body, the head, the leg kicks, whatever it might be. He was always throwing while on the move because Miles never stopped moving.
Never stopped moving.
And that was, I think, the biggest difference in why Miles was able to have that outcome that he had versus Josh, who just could not quite slow him down.
No. The only guy I can remember who would consistently knock people out while he was backing up, I think, was Chuck Liddell. You'd never teach anybody to punch like Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell knock people out. Yeah, McCollum, remember where you heard his name first, Miles McCollum, here at Cagezilla, because that is another name that's not going away. And then Starner knew.
Oh, man.
Just two hugely game fighters, all that experience, probably definitely 2 out of 3 top bantamweights on the East Coast. And what a clinic these guys put on.
This, by the way, was my fight of the night.
Yeah,
I was so impressed with both guys. I mean, I was impressed with everybody, but these two in particular. But I do have to offer a correction. During the commentary, I kept saying Dagestani handcuff, right? And what was happening was it was just a triangle trap against the cage. But I guess I just have in my head Khabib because he's the one who does that so
anytime
well.
you get to see Dagestani handcuffs, you're going to want to
I want to keep saying it.
Yeah,
I want to keep saying it, right? So I kept referring to it. But really what was happening was Hunter was able to, when he took Sotia down, had him up against the cage, and Sotia was upright, trying to work his way up. He would grapevine the legs and put him in what's called a triangle, right? It's a triangle trap where the legs, Sotia's legs are effectively like posted on top of the triangle from Hunter, and it makes it really difficult to get out, and it's a really good control position for Hunter. I say that because what Sotia did so well was he was pushing on the head, he was shrimping out, and he got his hips out of there, which allowed him to have more opportunity to get back up to the feet. That fight in particular, I thought was so high level, and you know, look, both these guys are top ranked, especially in their respective geographical areas. I'll tell you, they're top ranked everywhere. Sotia's striking was very fast, very crisp. Much like Marcellus, there was no real wind up or load up. And my favorite thing that he was doing was as he would move across the cage, right? He kept his back to the cage. He never let his back touch the cage, at least until Hunter started implementing more wrestling. But whenever he would move, as he forced Hunter to follow him, when Hunter tried to cut him off, he would immediately fire that inside leg kick. And he was so accurate with it, you really saw the damage almost immediately. But in a 5-minute round, you're going to see that damage not only accumulate faster, but you're going to see the result of that damage as well. But I want to talk about
Starner's going to remember it.
He's going to remember it. But I want to talk about Hunter because I was just so impressed with Sotia. But look, Hunter Starner did such a good job of when he was in a bad position, right? That first round, he threw a hard hook. I thought he set it up well, and Sotia countered perfectly, dropped him. He immediately got back up. He went back to his corner, and he's like, all right, we got to make some adjustments. He came out every round after that. I thought his wrestling was just tremendous. His grappling on a guy who, like we've talked about at 50-50, this is originally a jiu-jitsu gym that has now transcended and become I would say a top-ranked MMA gym. But these guys all know how to grapple. I talked about Josh Terrell, David Terrell. These guys just won IBJJF Worlds. And when you're in that type of room and you're training with guys like this, the whole room is going to get better, especially in that specific art, because you're all contributing to their success, right? Everybody's helping them drill to improve. So for Starner to have that type of dominant success on the ground, on top, he was always working to get his hooks in. He had great grips. I thought his chain wrestling, at one point in the last sequence, he was wide. Sotia was doing a great job of not letting him grab his hips. He switched to a single and then immediately went to a double, hit the knee pick, and that was what he did to eventually get the fight on the ground and slowly work his way to taking the back and getting the choke. But his hooks were in. I mean, Hunter just refused to accept staying on the outside and getting kicked, which would have been a pathway to destruction, right? But he made such good adjustments to close the pressure, put it on Sotia, and take him off his game, right? Yeah. Put him on his back and keep him there, especially up against the cage. That cage wrestling was really impressive because, especially in the first round, Sotia did such a good job of avoiding that, right? He avoided staying off the cage, and Hunter made really good adjustments, and you could tell why these guys are as highly rated as they both are.
And it turns into a chess match. It turns into subtle things. One, like the small mistakes until the big one, that allowed for the RNC. Fabulous thing to watch, unbelievably high level. And ladies and gentlemen, you're going to just keep getting more of that from Cagezilla. We got Thai kickboxing coming up on November 20th. The next Cagezilla is December 18th, so ask for that for Christmas, tickets to Cagezilla. And ladies and gentlemen, for all of us here at Cagezilla, Jeff Wild, the big boss, Mike Peveril, who puts this all together, our team up here in the studios, and everybody down on the floor, Kevin, Chris, Ryan McDonald, our matchmaker, this guy right here, Charles DeGisco, me, Jay Colligan, we're about to go downstairs to DJ L's for the after party. We will see you down there. Thank you again, and we will see you next time.